My wife went on a girls' trip, but I caught her friends at a bar and learned the truth. She said it was just a harmless 2-week vacation with her girlfriends. I almost believed her until I saw those same friends at a local bar. The uneasy beginning. I've always believed that trust is the foundation of any marriage. And for the longest time, I thought my wife and I had that unshakable foundation. We'd been married for 7 years, long enough to know each other's quirks, habits, and moods, long enough to believe we'd weathered enough storms to survive anything together. But sometimes, a storm doesn't arrive with thunder or lightning. Sometimes, it starts with a single, unsettling breeze that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. That breeze came about a month ago when Rebecca, not her real name, announced she wanted to take a 2-week girls' trip with her friends Kate and Lauren. She pitched it like an innocent getaway. Just 3 women, escaping their routines, lounging on a beach somewhere warm. At first, I thought I'd misheard her. We'd never taken separate vacations before, and 2 weeks apart sounded excessive. 2 weeks. I repeated, trying to keep my tone light. That's longer than our honeymoon. She laughed it off. Exactly. It's been forever since we've done something purely for ourselves. Kate found a great deal on flights. We'll split the cost of the resort. It'll be fun. I wanted to believe her enthusiasm, but the more details she gave, the more cracks I saw in the story. For starters, Kate and Lauren weren't exactly inseparable friends. I'd met them both a handful of times. Nice enough women, but they lived their own lives. The kind of friends you meet for brunch once every couple of months, not the kind you plan a 2-week international escape with. Then there was the destination, a beach town with no particular significance to any of them. It wasn't somewhere they'd been dying to visit or a place with a personal connection. It was random, like they'd closed their eyes, spun a globe, and pointed. And the logistics didn't add up either. 2 weeks at a resort, plus airfare, all planned on barely a month's notice? I knew our finances well enough to be curious. When I asked how they were pulling it off, she got defensive. "Why are you interrogating me?" she snapped. "It's just a trip. Do you think I'm hiding something from you?" That jab stung, because the truth was, I wasn't sure. My gut had already started whispering that something was wrong. I told her I'd be fine with a shorter trip, maybe a long weekend, or even that I could come along and do my own thing while they had their girls' time. She shut that down instantly. It has to be all of us. And it has to be the full 2 weeks. We all got the same time off. It's a rare chance. The conversation ended with us both frustrated. She accused me of smothering her. I accused her, silently, in my own head, of hiding something. When the day came, I drove her to the airport. We hugged, exchanged quick goodbyes, and she said, almost as an afterthought, "We'll talk when I'm back." It felt like a warning, though I couldn't explain why. 3 days into her trip, I already felt the weight of her absence. I texted her once, just to check in. Hours later, she replied, "All good, having fun, busy, we'll call later." She never called. And then I noticed something else. She posted a few beach photos on social media, cocktails, ocean views, but Kate and Lauren didn't like or comment on any of them. Not even a token emoji. For friends supposedly sharing the trip, their silence was deafening. I told myself I was overthinking it. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The night at the bar. It was day 5 of her so-called girls' trip when the truth started to claw its way out of the shadows. I'd been keeping myself occupied, or at least trying to, when my friend Mike called. He knew I'd been in a funk and suggested we grab a couple of beers and watch the game at our usual spot downtown. I figured why not? Anything to distract me from sitting alone in a quiet house, replaying her vague text messages in my mind. The bar was buzzing when we walked in. Big screens lit up with the pre-game show, the air thick with the smell of wings, and the low hum of conversations blending into background noise. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of normalcy. We ordered a pitcher, settled into a booth, and started catching up. I was mid-laugh at one of Mike's ridiculous stories when my eyes wandered across the room and froze. There, in a booth on the other side of the bar, were Kate and Lauren. At first, my brain refused to connect the dots. It had to be a trick of the light, or maybe 2 women who just happened to look like them. But no, it was definitely them. Laughing, chatting, sharing a massive plate of nachos. And they weren't alone. Sitting beside each of them were their husbands. My stomach dropped. "Mike," I muttered, barely able to tear my gaze away. "That's them." He followed my stare. "Wait, Aren't those? Yeah. I cut in, already standing. My pulse thundered in my ears. I crossed the room, Mike trailing behind. Kate's laughter died the instant she saw me. Lauren's face went pale, as if I'd caught her mid-crime. Their husbands looked confused, and in hindsight, I don't think they had a clue what their wives had been telling them either. Hey, I said, my voice a mix of fake cheer and razor-edged suspicion. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be sipping margaritas on a beach right now? Kate almost choked on her drink. Lauren stared at the table. We had to cancel the trip, Kate stammered. Cancel? I repeated, tilting my head. Does my wife know that? Because last I checked, she was on that trip with you. The silence was suffocating. Kate glanced at Lauren, who looked like she wanted to sink through the floor. She, went with some other friends from work, Lauren offered weakly. The story was unraveling faster than they could patch it. And then, out of nowhere, Kate's husband, let's call him Tom, slammed his beer down so hard the table rattled. Explain what, Kate? That you've been lying to him? That you're covering for Rebecca? His voice cut through the bar noise like a blade. Heads turned. People stared. Kate's lips trembled. I can explain. You'd better, Tom growled, his eyes locked on her. Because if you don't, we're going to have a real problem when we get home. I was gripping the back of a chair, trying to hold myself steady. Someone tell me where my wife actually is. Kate hesitated for 1 second too long. And then, like ripping off a bandage, she said it. She wanted to meet up with her ex-boyfriend. The world seemed to go silent. Even the music faded into nothing. I blinked. Dan? You mean Dan? She nodded. She made us swear to tell you it was a girl's trip. She didn't want you to know. I can't even remember walking out of that bar. One moment I was standing there, my heart pounding. The next I was outside in the cool night air, my chest so tight I could barely breathe. Mike caught up with me, asking if I was okay. All I could say was, I knew it. I knew something was off. That night, I didn't go home. I crashed on Mike's couch, staring at the ceiling until dawn, feeling something inside me shift permanently. I was done. The calm before the strike. When the sun rose the next morning, I already knew my marriage was over. It wasn't rage fueling me, not yet. It was something colder, sharper, like a blade that had just been forged in fire and quenched in ice. I drove home with the early light creeping over the horizon, the streets mostly empty. Pulling into the driveway, I sat there for a moment, staring at the house we'd made together. Only now, it didn't feel like our home anymore. It felt like a stage where a play had been running for years, and I'd just realized the whole thing was a performance. Inside, the air was still, the silence so loud it pressed against my ears. Her half of the closet was noticeably thinned out, not just beach clothes, but outfits I recognized from nights we'd gone out together, dresses she'd said she hadn't worn in ages. She hadn't packed light. I grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing clothes, toiletries, and a few important keepsakes inside. My movements were automatic, detached. I didn't even bother checking her drawers or the laundry basket. I didn't care what else she'd left behind. On the kitchen table, I left a note. Nothing poetic, nothing dramatic. Just 8 words. Don't contact me. I'm staying with family. And then I walked out, locking the door behind me. By the time I reached my sister's house, she was already standing in the doorway, her arms crossed, her expression somewhere between concern and fury. You tell me everything, she said before I even stepped inside. So I did. Every detail. The trip, the bar, Kate's confession. She didn't interrupt, didn't even blink, until I got to the part about Rebecca being with Dan. Then her jaw tightened so hard I thought her teeth might crack. You're staying here, she said firmly, no room for debate. We'll figure out the rest later. I spent the rest of the day on her couch, phone face down beside me. Rebecca sent a few casual texts. A picture of her on a beach towel with the caption, "Wish you were here," as if my world hadn't just detonated. I didn't reply. The next morning, I called a friend from college, a divorce attorney. I laid out the bare bones of the situation. He didn't waste time. We discussed joint accounts, shared property, and the fastest way to move forward. Do not tip her off, he warned. If she thinks you're leaving, she could try to drain the accounts or move things around. Let her believe you're clueless until she gets served. So that became the plan. Radio silence until the morning after her return. A process server would hand her the divorce papers at 7 a.m., just as she was getting ready for work. In the meantime, I quietly cut financial ties. I removed my name from one joint credit card, froze the joint savings, and moved a few personal items into my sister's spare room. Through all of it, I didn't cry, didn't yell. It was like a switch had flipped, and there was no going back. She was due home in 3 days. 3 days to keep my mask in place. 3 days to let her think her plan had worked, while mine was already in motion. The return. 3 days passed like a slow burn. I didn't speak her name. I didn't look at her pictures. I didn't so much as think about what she might be doing, because I already knew. She was with him, and whatever fantasy she was living in, it had an expiration date measured in hours. The night before her flight home, I lay awake in my sister's guest room, staring at the ceiling. My mind wasn't racing anymore. There was no debate, no second-guessing, just a quiet, heavy certainty. Tomorrow, she would walk through our front door, and the world she thought she was returning to would not be there. I tracked her flight online, not because I cared to know she was safe, but because I wanted to know exactly when the game would shift. The moment her plane touched down, my phone lit up. "Rebecca, just landed. Can't wait to see you. Rebecca, I'm home. Where are you?" The text came faster, more frantic. I didn't respond. Then the call started, one after another. I let them ring out, watching the screen dim after each missed call. Then came the angry texts. "Rebecca, why aren't you answering? Where the hell are you? Rebecca, if this is some kind of joke, it's not funny." Finally, I sent one message. Just one. "Me. I know everything. From now on, talk to my lawyer, not me." The silence lasted about a minute before my phone erupted again. "Rebecca, you don't know everything. Rebecca, it was a mistake. Rebecca, nothing physical happened. Rebecca, I just needed closure with him. Rebecca, please, just let me explain. I love you." I almost laughed. The audacity was unreal. 2 weeks with her ex in a romantic beach town, and I was supposed to believe nothing happened? My sister, reading over my shoulder, muttered, "She really thinks you're an idiot." I blocked her number right then. But I wasn't done. That night, I called her parents. I didn't give them a blow-by-blow, just the truth in its simplest form. "Your daughter was unfaithful. I'm filing for divorce." Her mom's voice broke. Her dad stayed steady but short. "Let us know if you need anything." I thanked them and ended the call. The next morning, right on schedule, the process server was waiting outside our house at 6:55 a.m. At 7:02, Rebecca opened the door, hair damp, coffee mug in hand, and froze. I wasn't there to see it, but I pictured her face when the papers hit her hands. Later that day, she showed up at my sister's house. I saw her car pull up and stepped away from the window. My sister went to the porch instead. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught pieces. "Rebecca, please, I need to see him." My sister, "It's not a good idea. You should leave." "Rebecca, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose him." My sister, "You already lost him." A long pause, then the slam of a car door, and she was gone. The fallout. Once the papers were served, it was like lighting a fuse in a room full of dynamite. The blast didn't just take out my marriage. It tore through our entire social circle. Within a week, I started hearing the whispers. Small-town gossip travels faster than wildfire, and the story spread in every direction. Kate's husband, Tom, wasted no time. He kicked her out the very night he learned the truth at the bar. I heard she's now staying with her parents, alternating between tearful apologies and furious phone calls to Rebecca. Lauren's marriage didn't fare much better. Her husband hasn't thrown her out, but he's been giving her the silent treatment for days on end. Someone told me they were trying counseling, but his body language in public said otherwise. It was strange, watching the collateral damage unfold. Rebecca didn't just burn down her own life. She managed to set fire to 2 others in the process. And the cruel irony? The man she'd torched everything for, Dan, the golden ex-boyfriend, was nowhere in sight. I had no idea if they were still talking. I didn't care. In my mind, they deserved each other. I refused to speak to her directly, but that didn't stop her from trying. She sent letters through my lawyer, pathetic, rambling attempts to explain herself without ever admitting the full truth. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I just wanted to see if there was still something there. It was innocent at first. Every word dripped with excuses. Not once did she say, "I'm sorry," without attaching a "but" to it. And then, one afternoon, Lauren showed up at my sister's place. I spotted her from the upstairs window, hair pulled back, a paper envelope in her hands. My first instinct was to ignore her, but my sister intercepted at the door. They spoke briefly, and Lauren left the envelope behind. Inside was a handwritten letter. She admitted she'd known for months that Rebecca was fantasizing about seeing Dan again. She claimed she and Kate had tried to talk her out of it, said they'd warned her it would blow up her life. But once Rebecca made up her mind, she enlisted them to cover for her. Lauren confessed she'd been too cowardly to refuse, and that the guilt had been eating her alive. "I know saying sorry won't fix anything," she wrote, "but I need you to know I regret every part of this." I read the letter once, folded it, and put it away. I didn't respond. I had no interest in giving her absolution. In the middle of all this chaos, something surprising happened. I started to feel lighter. Not happy, not yet, but less weighed down. The constant pit in my stomach began to ease. I was still angry, still hurt, but I could breathe again. Maybe it was because the lies were over. Maybe it was because the worst had already happened. Either way, I was beginning to see the path ahead, and it didn't have her in it. Moving forward. A few weeks later, the divorce was in full motion. My lawyer told me it would be quick, no kids, no major assets, no fight over the house, and she agreed to take over the lease. She didn't contest a single term. I think she was too ashamed, too exhausted, or maybe just too focused on salvaging whatever scraps of her life she had left. We met once, indirectly, through our lawyers. She sat across the table, hair neatly tied back, eyes fixed on some invisible point just past my shoulder. I didn't speak to her, and she didn't speak to me. It was all business. Papers signed, agreements confirmed, no outbursts. She walked out of that room like a stranger. Back at my sister's place, life settled into something resembling routine. We'd eat dinner together, watch dumb movies, and she even dragged me to her weekend yoga class. I never thought I'd find myself in a downward dog pose surrounded by people in matching leggings. But to my surprise, it helped. Not just the stretching, but the simple act of doing something new, something mine. Mike got me back into the gym. At first, it was just a way to kill time, to sweat out the restless energy that had been buzzing in my veins since the truth came out. But slowly, the workouts became something else, a reminder that my body, my health, my choices were mine to take care of. I also started therapy. The first session felt awkward, like I was narrating someone else's story. By the third, I realized how much I'd been carrying without even noticing. The anger, the doubt, the quiet, corrosive thought that maybe I should have seen it sooner. The therapist reminded me that betrayal isn't a failure of the betrayed. It's a choice made entirely by the betrayer. That thought alone was worth every session. As for Rebecca, she's still in town. I catch glimpses of her sometimes, at the grocery store, through a cafe window. We don't acknowledge each other. I don't know if she's still seeing Dan. I don't care. Whatever she's doing now, it's no longer my concern. The friends we used to share? Gone. Most of them cut ties with her, Kate, and Lauren after the truth came out. The ones who stayed on her side weren't people I wanted in my corner anyway. Some nights, I still think about the way this all started. A simple trip that didn't add up. A gut feeling I almost ignored. If I hadn't run into Kate and Lauren at that bar, I might still be living in that false reality, blind to what was happening behind my back. But I did see, and now I can't unsee it. The marriage is over, but so is the constant uncertainty, the second-guessing, the quiet erosion of trust. In its place, there's something unfamiliar but welcome, clarity. I don't know exactly what comes next. Maybe I'll travel, maybe I'll meet someone new someday, or maybe I'll just spend the next year figuring out who I am without her shadow over me. What I do know is this: when she walked out of my life, she thought she was taking something from me. But in the end, she gave me back the one thing I didn't realize I'd lost: myself.